Lucky Lefty Podcast, Honora Boys. We are in the building and brought to you by Honora Whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. Courtesy of Bleav Network, presented by FanDuel. And we know on Saturday night, after that big time win against the arch rival Trojans, you lifted some Honora. But when you do it, continue to make sure that you do it
responsibly.
Let's get it, love. Yep, Lucky Lefty Podcast, the Honora Boys. I am SHAUN Davis, SD2 Mics, that dude, the original Lucky Lefty himself, MALIK ZAIRE. We are courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify each and every day, presented by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. And let me tell you something, Left. If you go over to FanDuel right about now, what you're going to see is that someone is climbing the charts. Climbing the charts when it comes to winning the Heisman Trophy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's over in terms of the Dope Walker. I think it's a wrap. It's a flat out wrap. Oh, it's a wrap. What are we talking about? Who's better? His backup? His 1B?
His backup should go too. 2 kick return touchdowns. Come on, man.
It's crazy. I'm still wondering though. He's sitting at plus 2,000 over at FanDuel. Speaking of Jeremiah Love, plus 2,000 to win the Heisman. Oh man. That might be a pretty good bet over at FanDuel. FanDuel.com. And if you download
make some money on Notre Dame this year, man.
That might be a pretty good bet over there. And as a matter of fact, if you go over there now, Notre Dame is plus 220. Or I'm sorry, minus 280. I'm sorry about that. They're minus 280 to actually make the playoff. Win the rest of their games and make the playoff. They're minus 280. Plus 2,000 right now for J Love. And you already know, looking at the rush defenses he has left to play, he's probably going to put I see another 200 game. I see another 200 game
At least.
Yeah. I definitely see it. Boston College, I don't know. You just got smacked up by Connecticut Huskies. And this wasn't even the basketball court. This was the football field.
It's going to get ugly.
It's about to get ugly. Today, we're going to hear from Marcus Freeman, his comments after the game. We're going to hear from Jalen Sneed, who has come alive, Notre Dame fans. Absolutely come alive. We're going to hear from the 228-yard man himself, Jeremiah Love, the shade that he threw. And I'm going to throw some shade. I'm going to throw some shade today. I'm going to throw some shade at Chad.
I want to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Give it, because I got some shade to throw at Chad Bowden. And I definitely have some shade to throw at Lincoln Riley. But that's what happened when you lay down with dogs. You come away with fleas. At least that's what I've heard. When you lay down with dogs, you will end up with fleas. And right now, they're in bed together at USC and listening to the USC people. It hasn't gotten better. And if you think Sharon Moore is in trouble because it was Jim Harbaugh's culture, let me ask you this question, Left. Name me the culture that Lincoln Riley has built.
Yeah, because what's the culture? I know he's built a quarterback.
He went into Bob Stoops' culture. He took over Bob Stoops' culture that he created. What was the culture that and then left? And see, he's a coward because he refused to shake Marcus Freeman's hand after the game. That's the first thing. He's a coward.
And Marcus Freeman was looking for him.
Yeah, he was looking for him. And he left the field just like he left Norman, Oklahoma in the middle of the night going to LA because he's a coward. So he left the game on Saturday like a coward. He left Oklahoma like a coward. He ran from the SEC like a coward because they were getting ready to leave the Big 12. And now he's being even more a coward. And then he must have an influence over his new GM. Because his new GM, see, this is Notre Dame fans, he was ready to leave you for Michigan. That's why it's super cap, all that stuff, him being from California and talking about how it was different when USC called, that's cap. You were prepared to leave for Michigan if Notre Dame didn't offer more money and another position title. You were ready to leave for Michigan. So it never was about USC or being back in California. You were ready to go. You were ready to bounce. But then you get out to USC. You throw stuff out there about being cool, finally being with a head coach that can recruit. Really? Marcus Freeman can't recruit? Let me pull this up right now. Currently, FA6, because they're done with the 26 class. They're done with the 26 class, right? So I'm just going to go to 247 because it changes periodically. Changes periodically. Let's see here. Where do they have the fourth in the nation? Fourth in the nation. Now, cumulatively, only because it's cumulative, USC is number one, but they have 34 commits. And the rankings are done by cumulative stats. So 7 more commits gives them the number one ranking. 7 more commits, but let's go ahead and do the average score per commit. Do it live on air right here, love. 34 commits at 304.49 recruiting points. That's 8.29, 8.22 per commit. Notre Dame, 295.66 recruiting points from 27 commits. That's an average of 10.95 per commit. So you sit up here and talk about who has the better recruiting class. I just want to point this out. But Marcus Freeman, you're finally with a head coach that can recruit. But in your absence, Marcus Freeman has his best recruiting class since he's been at Notre Dame. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's that coward talk. And then the things that were circulating, the things that were being put out there about the program as they were searching for their next GM, the negative stuff that was put out there to try and deter people and pull people away from the Notre Dame job. It was messy. It was just messy. It was chatty patty like. You get that, love? It's chatty patty like. That's what he became. He became almost like a chatty pat. And then last week, he's still talking trash leading up to the game. We're physical. USC, we're physical now. We're a tough team. Really? Word? Where? Where's this physicality? Where is it at? I haven't seen it. We tried to warn them last week, Left, when we played the clip from We Are SC, and they were talking crazy, saying we just did it to Michigan. We just shut down their run game. It didn't matter that their number one running back got injured. We would have done the same thing. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the same thing to Notre Dame. We're going to shut down their run, and put it on the arm of the young quarterback. It's just a little bit better than Bryce Underwood. Just a little bit better. All right, Left, you can take it from there. That's the pettiness I had to start the show with, bro. That's the pettiness I had to start the show with. Because it's just unfortunate, man. And kudos to Jeremiah Love, who, I'm sorry, I say this all the time. And shout out to his parents. Um, you know, oh man, it's just hard, man. I feel bad for USC fans because you have a coward leading the way. That really there's no evidence that he knows how to build culture. None.
There's not. There's not.
There's not.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that I think is going to be a challenge for him, especially after tough losses, is that he has no foundation or backing to go to. You know, what is he going to stand on and preach about if he can't talk about what he's preaching on? I mean, like you said, he left Oklahoma, he came here. He's just almost a gimmick kind of guy, it feels like, as opposed to when he goes against Marcus Freeman, a foundation and a program, it just looks different. You know, the same excuses don't work. The same reasoning doesn't apply because it's like the same thing, a Chrysler 300 until you see a Phantom. So the same excuses why the Phantom ain't running great is the same reasons why, you know, you're looking at, the Chrysler's not running great because you see the Phantom and it's all its luxuries. And then you lose, and now it's what's the excuse?
Yeah. Yeah. It is one of those things when it comes to this game. I think one of the greatest things we said this week, Left, was we asked the question. And see, I knew this, but this is my boy. This is my boy. I love USCJ. Love USCJ, bro. In all seriousness, keep doing what you're doing, man.
That's the second.
Yeah.
Like, get team.
He's talking about we need to give y'all a uniform. That's so crazy.
No, real talk. I tell all Notre Dame college football fans, like, yo, this dude, the way he does it, the way he talks about the game, the energy he brings, it's a very enjoyable listen.
It is.
Dope dude. Hopefully, I wish we had gotten him on last week.
Before the game. Game.
But incredible content creator, bro.
He said keep it 100. No, we keep it
100. Look, bro.
Only thing, it was a couple calls I could have said, yeah.
Notre Dame fans, unfortunately, Jay, Notre Dame fans, the way they have been
getting cheated
this year by refs, going back to the Texas A&M game, we
need some of them. We need some of them.
We have no empathy for people talking about.
Yeah, we just don't have no empathy for it. It's like, okay, they missed it. It is what it is.
Jay, anytime. Anytime. Heck yeah.
Call us.
Anytime. Congrats, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, run the table. Run the table in the Big Ten so we can see you in the playoffs. Run the table in the Big Ten so we can see you in the playoffs. But Left, we said this.
Fish to fry. They got Indiana, Ohio State coming up or something like that.
We said this, right? We said that CJ Carr changed the narrative of this rivalry from the previous 15 years because Notre Dame's never had a perceived first-round talent at quarterback in this rivalry or skill position players that can be perceived as first-round, second-round talent. It's always been Notre Dame has to run the ball, be physical, which Notre Dame did. But Notre Dame has to run the ball, be physical, and the defense has to keep it close, right? Because USC has always had these dynamic quarterbacks, wide receivers, all of that. And we just felt like now, and I'm interested. And Jay, please tap in with this because I want to hear from your standpoint. Were you confused knowing how everybody else went at Notre Dame this year? Were you confused that USC decided to keep their safeties back?
Yeah, I think they, they probably tried to do something different. They probably felt as if they can play from a lead, and Notre Dame can't beat them running in for the end zone, right? They can't beat them with explosive plays if they can play from a lead. And they came out with a good game plan. That first drive was well put together. They came out throwing the football with conviction. And I think that was a part of their plan. If they could stay ahead and depend on Notre Dame trying to run their way to victory, they probably felt like there was some advantages there. And, to some extent, it took away CJ's confidence early from throwing the ball downfield. But when you're giving up the run like they did, I mean, that's going to happen. That's the absolute to what Notre Dame does. Like, that's why everybody says if we don't stop the run game, it's going to be a long day. And that's what happens when they don't do it. And that's why you see the loaded boxes and one high safeties and CJ throwing a bunch of one-on-ones, because a lot of teams just don't want to give that up. They don't want to be the highlight of next week of J Love and Darian Price show, running past people, running over people, having explosive runs, because it's demoralizing for a team that, is either on the hunt or looking to, have some momentum in the season. You give up 330 yards in week 7 and on just the run game. I mean, where do you go from there? It's a lot of questions you got to answer. It's a lot of things where you thought you was in one thing and then you looking like a whole nother thing the next week. But that was a pure game plan and decision I feel like they made. More of a concerted effort to take away MALIK Fields, which they did. He had one reception. But, conversely, in order to take away MALIK Fields, you gave up whatever we wanted to on the ground. And Denbrock, I guess he had to force to be disciplined, because I'm sure he was trying to dial it up, throw it down the field 1,000 times. But he was like, man, the bank is open. So we just going to give Jeremiah Love the ball 29 times and see where it takes us. But that's also going back to finding ways to win. USC was relying on that throwing the football. I mean, they made some explosive plays that we've allowed all year. Obviously, we knew they were going to do some of that. But they got overconfident, I think, in their play calling and made some stupid decisions where, they didn't have the answers for in hindsight. But during the time, I mean, I still, what we all talk about from the game, after that huge explosive play, you go right to a crazy, like that just it's like, oh, you're playing out here. You're not serious. I mean, that it goes back to what I always say about teams that have great game plans, but it gets out of whack when you have to go 8-9 plays down the field. And for a guy that's putting up 43 points a game, this, that, and the third, the best slot receiver, all of that, they're getting plays and scores and chunks and bits. When you got to go 9 plays, you get antsy, especially for a guy like Lincoln Riley. You're like, man, I know I need to get this 4th and 1, but I just want to get the whole thing right here. I just want to fool them and get in another explosive play, get some momentum, but you got to be patient. NIU and Stanford won because they were patient. They just wasn't the most explosive teams in the world, but that's how they won. I mean, they wasn't gonna hit you over the head, but they gonna gut you for the 3rd and 1, and then they gonna punt, and then we gonna have to drive 89 yards. But USC they just live in the infamy of having to be perceived as an offensive powerhouse, unfortunately. So if you ask them to win a game 17-10, they just can't do it. they'll fumble the rock because they like we supposed to have 35 points by now. They start calling all type of crazy stuff, all taking all type of shots and chances, and they get out of whack. But unfortunately for us, we play well technically and as a unit more times than not. So when USC can't rely on the unbelievable playmaking of a Caleb Williams, where he's running around making guys miss, extending the play, this, that, and the third every time, that's hit or miss because he tried to do that the next year and we had a cap on it. And Maava, who came in confident, that first drive, like I said, was spectacular. He looked like he was on point. But you got to do that all game, and you're going to get antsy. It's tough. You can do that versus these other defenses because, you get the momentum, and some of these defenses aren't well coached all 4 quarters. Fortunately for us, we played technically well all 4 quarters on defense, where the teams that beat us are usually the teams that take their time. And USC and Lincoln Riley personality, that's not the guy to do it. If he's going to beat us, it's going to be like last year, 45-38. That's the Lincoln Riley special. When Lincoln Riley don't got 28 by the third quarter, he going to start getting antsy and calling all type of crazy stuff, and his defense going to start giving up points. It's going to be tough. So, once again, I think it was a great fit for this battle, and the rain obviously, in my opinion, helped. But when you can't stop the run, as we've learned through history, it's just going to be a tough day for you. And maybe that's just the way they felt like they could win. They said, we're going to give up the run, but we're going to be aggressive offensively. And that's what they were, so you can't really blame too much of some of the decision-making because he knew he had to be aggressive offensively. He was taking more chances than usual in silly spots. But, hey, if the ball rolled their way with some of them penalties and some of those calls, we might be talking differently. I mean, we only won by 10, right? So I was calling it by 17, and we had opportunities to get 21. We had a lot of opportunity to get 21. But, it was one of those things where CJ didn't have the greatest game ever, but hopefully that tempers some of the media attention. Just, he's good, but he ain't, the best all time just yet. So,
Yeah, Lucky Lefty podcast. It's very strange, in my opinion, but logically, I do see certain reasons why. They're better against the run, stopping the run, than they are against stopping the pass. We talked about both of their defensive backs, the corners, were bottom 7 in all of college football in coverage. So, do you keep your safeties back to stop what has been a big play pass offense being led by CJ Carr and the wide receivers, or do you commit your safeties, who both are first, second round talents in it going to the NFL, and really the best players, possibly 2 of the best 3 players on your defense, along with Eric Gentry? Do you keep them back to prevent the big plays in the pass and kind of confuse CJ Carr as far as coverage?
yeah, and I mean, CJ is still young in my opinion, in the sense of, understanding defenses to where he's anticipating and he's one step ahead. I think he's more so on pace of just doing his job, executing the play. That's a job in of itself. He's not level 400 yet, where, like you said, the coverage may change post snap from pre snap, where he's just picking apart. And some of that is this habit that I think he just loves. He's somewhere in that 7-on-7 mentality where it's head tops, highlights, and big shots. I mean, ask him to consistently and methodically work a team down the field. I don't believe that's his game. Which is not a bad thing, but in a game like USC, it could have came in handy. I think there was opportunities for him to build the drive without necessarily thinking deep first, but that's an opinion. But it's something where his development will come, and I think that he learns that as he watches film. But thank goodness, and just so happened, you have two of the best running backs in the country that like, when he throwing swing routes for touchdowns for 50 yards. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And then that same running back catch the kickoff return after a drive where you messed up, and he runs it all the way back for a touchdown where you don't have the pressure of having to score being down late. I mean, these are all blessings that you receive from having great talent around you, which I said that's CJ though. CJ's crossover for me is how does he play big in moments and in rivalries and that stuff like that? Because we know if it's a game versus Purdue, game versus Tulsa, or some, middle of the road team where we clear and obvious are better than, he's gonna have a field day. But these moments I want people to pay attention to are important moments that we have to remember as well. Like Ian Book is a great winningest all-time quarterback. His memorable moments you can think off the top of your head is only few and far between, but that's just football, right? That's just football. And I think conversely, Jeremiah Love, amazing game. Now they're talking about Heisman. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just that's how football works. It's like, yeah, everybody knows Jeremiah Love's a top guy, but after last week, specifically having a great performance, now we're saying Heisman. Now we're saying, okay, it's conversation, top 5 pick, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. But overall, I think we should have scored more, but winning games like this just keeps us continuing to climb when, like you said, everybody else has to play each other still. And it's been getting tight for a lot of games. The Georgia Ole Miss game was tight. That was
Hey, let me tell you, that was the best game of the weekend.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
let me tell you, hey, bro, Georgia, they could, first of all, no one could stop anybody.
No one can stop anybody.
No one can stop anybody.
No one can stop anybody.
It was compelling football. It wasn't like the defenses were just
the floodgates wasn't open, but it was just good play, good catch. That was good. Oh shoot, okay.
Great play calling, great quarterbacking, running game.
It was just all good. It was just all good.
Man, it was. This is honestly, I'll be honest, the most explosive Georgia offense I've probably seen.
Yeah, you got Zachariah
in
Branch.
A while. I mean, a while, dude. Zachariah Branch is a problem. Can you imagine him still in that USC wide receiver room?
With Kyle Lemon and all them?
Man, he's a problem. The running backs, the trio they have, speed and power, it's a problem.
Tight end is good. Number 4.
Georgia tight end is making plays, of course. Lucky doing his thing. And then they get the transfers at wide receiver, the big wide receivers.
Oh, big.
And one thing. Yeah. And then Trinidad Chambliss, bro, is
yeah.
That was a great game. That was a great college football game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It's like either way it rolled, you would have been pretty satisfied. Just that's like the Unk Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. It was just aesthetically good. It was just good to see them both play well.
But I'll say this, because we're about to get to what we learned and where the team sits, in your opinion, Left. I thought about this today. Over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, you'll find that Notre Dame covered the 9.5 that was there most of the week. On the morning of the game, the spread jumped to 10.5. And I feel bad for bettors that grabbed the 10.5 with Notre Dame winning 34-24. And I started to think, if FanDuel posted the spread for the remaining teams in the top 25 in a matchup with Notre Dame, how many of those teams will actually be favored against Notre Dame? And I can only come up with two. I can only come up with two teams in the top 25 that will be favored in a matchup against Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, Ohio State and Oregon, maybe.
No, I think depending on where it what would be right now, I think Texas A&M would be favored because they beat Notre Dame. I think Texas A&M would probably be favored. And
It's like Miami being favored.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think Miami might still be favored. Those two teams, because they've beaten Notre Dame already. IU wouldn't be favored. IU wouldn't be favored.
Not the way we beat them.
No, they just don't have enough. I'm looking at it from a Vegas standpoint, not from like an analyst standpoint. I'm thinking along with the way Vegas looks at things. Bama would be even. Indiana just doesn't have enough. There's not enough there for IU quite yet for bettors to really say,
star power.
For bettors to really be like, yeah, and Vegas to really be like, yeah, we're gonna, yeah. No.
They don't even love Mendoza enough, and he's the number one right now on the board. If you're number
I think Bama could. Georgia definitely wouldn't be favored over Notre Dame. I don't think they would be favored. Bama, the way their offense is going right now, and Ty Simpson is playing absolutely amazing football. So maybe I up it. Maybe 3 or 4 teams out of the top 25 would be favored over Notre Dame. But other than that, like LSU wouldn't be favored. Cincinnati, no. Texas Tech, no. Michigan, no. Arizona State, no. Virginia, no. South Florida, no. BYU, no. Texas, no.
Oregon,
maybe. Yeah. So yeah, 3 or 4 teams, I would say. 3 or 4 teams, I would say. Definitely Ohio State, definitely Texas A&M, Miami, because they've defeated Notre Dame. Indiana, no. Georgia, I don't think so, because their defense is not good. This might be one of Kirby's worst defenses I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever.
Just from points allowed alone.
Ole Miss, no. Same issue, same reasons for Georgia. Georgia Tech, no. They wouldn't be favored. BYU, no. Oklahoma, no. Missouri, no. Yeah, no.
I mean,
4 teams at the most. 4 teams at the most. You know, if that. Bama's defense has actually gotten a whole lot better. If you've been watching the games, their defense is getting a whole lot better. They're doing enough with the offense that they have, and I'm not worried about that. Lucky Lefty podcast. So those are takeaways, just overall takeaways from the game. I threw a little shade at the people I need to throw shade to earlier. Now let's talk about the offense, Left.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the offense and what they put up. Of course, we know Jeremiah Love, 24 carries, 228 yards, 9.5, 1 touchdown. That's bananas. Jadarian Price, 13 for 87, 6.7 with a tutty. And, of course, 101 on the kickoff return. Absolutely crazy. Jordan Faison had 6 receptions for 60 yards. That's 10 yards a clip. Will Pauling had 2 for 16 with the touchdown on the slant. Malachi Fields only had 1 for 9 yards, and Eli Raridon had 1 for 5 yards. CJ Carr in the night, 16 to 26 on the left surface, not bad. 136 yards. His lowest average at 5.2, QBR 32.8, and one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. Like, there is no protecting. And the title of today's show is No Protection. USC defense had no protection from our run game. And I have no clue. I have no clue what CJ Carr was thinking on that
He was thinking
interception.
Miami. He was like, man, let me do this Miami move. No look. It was famous. It was viral. Let me do something different than run out of bounds on 4th down on the 1 yard line. I got to make something happen. And that goes back to the development, but also it's play calling. It's like, man, how many short yardage, roll out to the right after or booting to the strong hand. He either doesn't see it clearly, doesn't let it go enough, where he runs out of space, and then it's panic mode. If he didn't spin around and do all that, he was going to run out of space, and then he's realizing, dang, I'm not going to run forward. I'm not running nobody over. So what my options are, I got to buy time. He's roll right, spin around, do this. I got to do something. And I think that's just the coaching, for whatever reason, just continuing to put him in a bad spot. I mean, oh my goodness, like he's probably got PTSD by now. All the 4th and 1 and 3rd and short fake run boot rollouts that he just aren't successful with. One he ran out of bounds, one was a pick, one was an overthrow, one was another. It was like, when have we been good at it? Probably in the open field when we're running the single comebacks and all of that. But I trust him enough to throw from the pocket if that's the case. Why are we continuing to take not our greatest athlete or not as good as an athlete as last year, continuing to roll him out where you're calling those plays with the third option being him running? You're calling boots, cutting half of the field off, considering the quarterback, if he doesn't see it, he's going to run for it. It didn't work with Sam Hartman. It's not going to work with CJ Carr. It maybe it worked with Riley, but with Riley, we was running downhill, which he did with CJ. I thought he gave him a concussion. So, I think we're still struggling to figure an identity on short yardage because it's either we're too afraid to run downhill with CJ. We tried it late and it was scary. And then we either aren't confident doing it with our running backs or we roll CJ out and have him panic. It's just it's still ugly. Not as ugly as what USC did on short yardage, but our short yardage, I think, is very just detrimental. Like, oh my God, like it's just too much of a panic feeling that I get watching our short yardage, considering we'll run for 400 yards on the ground. Like, what? Like, make it make sense. However, that's the only time CJ really gets in trouble is when he is given the option or forced to run or makes plays outside the pocket. That's something he'll develop, I'm sure, as he gets older and all of that. But his best stuff is inside the pocket. Tyler Horka got all the cut-ups. Tyler Horka be putting out all the cut-ups of his nice throws but they're all from the pocket. Let it be that. I know Denbrock is itching to find a guy at the quarterback position to run the football a little bit because that's just who Denbrock is. I mean, you see the pain in the play calls when he's like, dang, I want to run it with CJ. But that's not the smartest thing to do. So we're going to do this direct snap. We're going to do this wildcat. We're going to roll out on 3rd and short. We're going to play fake the hell out of it out of shotgun. We're going to put CJ as a lead blocker. Throw him out at court. I mean, these are all the things we've done. That's like no different than Chris Ash calling every coverage on the drive. We've called every style of play call for short yardage, except being consistent at just running it straight ahead. When we did do that, it was easy yards. But in clutch moments, we like to get cute. Like we like to be like, "Oh, we got him, we fooled him." No, let's not do that anymore.
It's funny you mention that, because this is why I love doing this show with you, Left. Because the words that you speak, because the truth hurts, especially when it's first released. It's hard to hear, hard to swallow. But as things play out, a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. And you have spoken so much that you have received critique and sometimes ridicule for. And later, people actually have to say, man, Malik was right, especially concerning the quarterback position at Notre Dame. And I remember in the middle of the hot streak that was CJ Carr, you said he's going to have some struggles, and we need to prepare ourselves for the adjustment because people are going to start to take away some of the easy throws to the outside, and then he's going to have to get better at making plays over the middle of the field and creating. You said that. And so in a game like this, where those easy play action throws to the outside weren't as accessible, and not only were they not as accessible, he wasn't as accurate as he normally is on those throws, and it became an issue. Something else you pointed out when you looked and did one of your film breakdowns over at patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network on Malik's cutting room floor, and you broke down his footwork, in particular, how he was late over the middle to Micah Gilbert against Boise State. And you pointed out he has some footwork issues that he needs to figure out. And that came reared its ugly head against USC when he tried to hit Eli Raridan over the middle of the field in his progression and tried to throw from a weird angle because his footwork wasn't in line with the throw, and it almost ended up in an interception. So this is just what we're watching is a young man in the heat of the battle with the pressure of making sure Notre Dame doesn't lose another game, still trying to develop because he is a redshirt freshman and a first-time starter. And he's still raw, extremely talented, great arm talent, can throw all different types of angles, and it's easy. But there's going to be an issue, especially when you have a defense that's aggressive like Pitt remaining on the schedule, that has some of the best or one of the best linebacking cores and really good safeties and a really good coach that knows how to give different pictures post-snap. They might not be the type of team that could really challenge you with now a first-time starter themselves in the middle of the season. So no one really fears Notre Dame losing that game. But that could be another game where he kind of struggles. But thank God he has the best running back duo and a darn good offensive line in front of him to help him a little bit.
Yes, because he plays the best when he has great talent around him. We've said that. This is not the CJ season where we're putting games on his shoulders to win. We've already did it early in the season. It's just not his time for that. Now, like you said, it's a tape of growth. I think if anything, he can be like, okay, I can't play on easy mode because they're catching on. What I mean? Easy mode is loaded box, one-on-one. You see it pre-snap. They can't hide it because they can't stop the run. All right, we just going to give you these easy MALIK press field throws. Like it's just all day. Oh, they're loading the box. We don't want to give up deep throws. We'll give you that easy out route to the field or that comeback to the field off play action because we're forcing teams to play a certain way. Well, USC said, you're not going to force us to play that way. We're just going to say, okay, kill us with the run if you might, but CJ, you're not going to get easy throws, right? So you're going to have to work the middle of the field. We see on tape, your instinct is to look outside for press and easy access throws. That's just your game. We get you forced to throw the ball in the middle of the field. How do you play? Like, can you be consistent? And we saw some struggles, but that goes back to, teams adjusting to you, and now you have to adjust to the teams. Clearly, it's advantageous when you can force a defense to play a certain way, which, I'm sure we're going to continue to do that just because of what we have around CJ. But it goes back to what happens to most quarterbacks, especially at Notre Dame, is this is the easy season because it's not your whole job is not to lose no game. All right, just don't lose the game, make plays when you're asked to, whatever. The next year, that's the year of the CJ. All right, CJ, you gotta go win 10, have 4 touchdowns, 300 yards a game. That's your season. This season, listen, take all the love, do your job, learn, grow, right, develop a bigger part of your game through the experience you're going to get, and know that next year it's time to go. This year, like the USC game, it was more about the opportunities of throws to make, not 26 opportunities to make CJ look great. This was 26 opportunities in this USC against USC where it was like, can you be efficient? Can you have your Kevin Durant game where you 24, 26 for 200, but it was very technical and precise. It was very high level because of the rain, because of the situation. They trying to affect you in this game. Usually you walking into a game where defenses treat you as the third or fourth threat. They like, shoot, CJ last at least of our issues. If he kill us, okay, but USC was like, maybe CJ's first or second. We done seen the ESPN clips. We done seen Tyler Horka on Twitter blowing him up. We done seen, what's his name? Dan Orlovsky say he's a potential number 1 pick. Maybe if we take him away and focus on him in the run game, what happens? Well, USC, theory-wise, they lost by 10 points. So, yeah, they gave up 4 million yards on the run, but CJ didn't have a great game. And look at what happened. Some teams could say that's a chance. Shoot, our quarterback better than Mayava was, work it down a little bit. Maybe we can get a 4th quarter possession game. It's just a perspective. But it goes back to where the development can happen. Now, maybe next week, who we playing again? We playing I'm thinking about my Jags, man.
They play Boston College next.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my Jags, man. We tough game, but
no, it's par for the course. That's Jacksonville. That's what they do. They lose.
Yeah, right. We still second in division. Look, the Colts are good, but listen, we got something for the Colts. All that Jonathan Taylor and all that Daniel, whatever, thinking he's nice now. We got something for that.
Yeah.
Because like sleeping Jags are dangerous too. Okay.
Let's get back to CJ. I like talking about quarterbacks that actually win. Go ahead.
We did not have a good game, man. That was terrible. But CJ, man, I think he's got to, evolve his game some, and this is a good opportunity when you can do it behind a run game. Usually if you don't have a run game, you put in a terrible position because now they looking at you like, dang, you terrible. No, I'm just learning, and we can learn behind 2 of the best backs in the nation.
So, It's not that, I just don't like when people jump out there about a young man. And look, I'll be honest. He scares me when he leaves the pocket, left.
Yes, he's not
I'll
good
say it.
pocket.
Other people might not want to say it. When I see him leave the pocket,
outside the pocket.
I'm very comfortable with him in the pocket. And that's really crazy because it's usually the inverse for young quarterbacks. Like they like to get out the pocket to be able to make plays, and they're a little skittish inside the pocket.
I mean, protected in the pocket is CJ's best game, because we've seen him do some intentional groundings a little, but that's natural for a young guy. I mean,
young mistakes, like you said, he's going
rolling out the
Yes,
Anybody
we expect him to put the ball in harm's way once again.
But that's why I'm saying this is not the talent of a Trevor Lawrence or these primed generational guys that if it don't go right, well, they just gonna run some guys over or just be better than the guys. Like that's just not CJ right now. He can't just be better than the opposing team just yet. He's got to have some conditions set. He's got to have, as we have seen now, if the conditions is there, all time good. The conditions changed in USC. Additionally to the rain, that ain't. Hey, your first rain game ain't easy. It's not because it's one thing in practice and all that, but ball security is just heightened. When it's wet outside, so. The same throws and things you love in dry weather. It's just not the same when it's raining. You're just not as calm. And it's because you can look real crazy throwing the football any kind of way in the rain. So you really got to be locked in. And so it's just an experience, like I said, for him. And because he is talented, he'll grow from it. And because he does have the two best backs in the country, I mean, he's not going to be spotlighted this year.
Let me say something, and please understand, for clarity, I'm just using this. CJ Carr is extremely talented, but CJ Carr is extremely blessed because he has walked into an ideal situation that a lot of young quarterbacks would love to walk into. I can imagine there are a lot of young quarterbacks that would love to have Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love in the backfield.
Look at Costello.
That would love to have and we say it all the time. We can complain about Notre Dame offensive lines, but on average, they are better than 80% of the offensive lines in college football. At their worst, the majority of the time, they're better than 80% of the offensive lines. He has that pedigree at Notre Dame. He has the type of pedigree at Notre Dame that your captain and center can get hurt, and his backup comes in and balls his tail off in his first career start. Plays his butt off in his first career start. That happens at Notre Dame because it's the same thing Ashton Craig did. Ashton Craig did the same thing coming in for an injured player at Clemson, and the next thing you know, in the offseason, that player was transferring to North Carolina State. That's what Notre Dame does. That's what they do. As Marcus Freeman says, they major in delayed gratification.
That's right.
They major in delayed gratification. Be ready when your time comes. Joe Otting was ready and played his butt off. Played his tail off. So for me, Left, not only is TJ Carr talented, but that dude walked into a great situation as a first-time starter as a quarterback.
Come on, man. We know that.
Great situation. And it's not like he doesn't have one of the best offensive coordinators as well. Shout out to the LSU fans that thought Oh, you can have Mike then Brock. Yeah, how's that going for you?
How's that going
Exactly.
for you?
Yeah. How's Coach Sloan going for you? You
Haven't
can't even
seen
get over.
30 points over there in a long time.
Man, they can't even get over 20. 20. How many did they score against Vanderbilt? 24? 20? Something like that? Yeah, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. CJ Carr, and I hope that he has this type of team success in college. CJ Carr has similarly stepped into a situation similarly like Patrick Mahomes, where you got a really good coach, really good players, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce at the time, and a really good offensive line. It's like,
Yeah, everything just
yo,
makes sense. Like, yeah.
yes. And he started off playing well. And as Patrick Mahomes said, I didn't really figure out how to play the position until like my second, third year.
Because think about it. What is a criticism of our offense?
At this
I mean,
point,
honestly,
what is the biggest
even
criticism?
even with CJ walking into the first game, what were you criticizing offensively about the team? Usually the team will be like, yeah, we, probably need a better receiver core, or, who's he going to throw to, or running game needs some help. But CJ walked into considerably what Julian Sand walked into. I mean, maybe not as high powered in certain places, but the receiver core we wasn't complaining about that coming into the game. We definitely wasn't complaining about the running game. Tight ends was back. And so CJ walked into a full kitchen. He didn't have to run back to the store to grab something for the recipe. No, it was just in the pantry. You just got to look. And that was always the thing about Notre Dame, is that the kitchen was always stocked. We just didn't use some of the ingredients. Oh, we don't have the talent receiver. No, we got some of that paprika back there. What your mom said? You like, Mom, I can't find the seasoning. No, it's in there. Mom, I just looked all the shit. No, it's in there. You just gotta look. And then she go in there and find it in 2 seconds, and you feel crazy. You're like, damn, it was sitting right in front of me. That's what we're finding out about our receiver core. Yeah, we got MALIK Fields and Will Pauling, but we got guys in the room. They just behind the seasoning. They just behind the chicken broth or behind whatever. They're in there. It's amazing how your significant other can hide things in the refrigerator. Refrigerator ain't that big, but they can hide that banana pudding back there. It'd be under the vegetables or some creative places, but it's in there. Now, me, I don't have the patience to find it. Like Brian Kelly didn't want to take the time to clean out his refrigerator, but there was talent in there. So for us, I think that's what CJ, is excited about. You come home from school, first thing you think about, like, man, what I got to eat? What I got to eat in that refrigerator?
Yeah.
Well, with this refrigerator, we got some Lunchables, we got some day old spaghetti, got some pot stickers in the freezer. You trying to some pizza rolls? You got options. You're not worried about Mom saying take the chicken out for dinner because you whip something up right there. Most teams don't got that. Most teams got to go TV dinner after school or peanut butter and jelly sandwich after school. They don't have the chef that you just, hey, can you whip up some supper? When you got the bread, you call it supper. You don't call it dinner. SD, I know you got supper over there. You call it supper. I'm late. I gotta get some supper at the.
I was blessed to have a great grandmother down in Morton, Mississippi, so I know all about supper, boy. Supper is all right. I'm telling you, man.
It's comforting.
Yeah.
See, supper
yes,
is
sir.
comforting. When you need dinner, you thinking, man, I'm on the fly. But when supper, you got the dinner table. See, this is a whole. See, the setup.
It's a spread. It's a spread. Yes, sir.
Lincoln Riley is a grab and go kind of guy. He's good with I'll just grab it on the way out. See, Marcus Freeman said, no, go sit down at the table. We get the big piece of chicken. We got the sides, So it's just different. So CJ is getting what you call a home cooked meal, a la carte. He got the spaghetti with the fish or the chicken as a side, with the Texas roll and the salad and all that. That's asking for a lot. DJ Lagway just he don't got all of the components you need with this. He got some spaghetti now, a nice side salad with those receivers, but he ain't got that catfish sitting in there waiting. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got the garlic bread that's in the oven just that brings you to the table. He just got some good spaghetti and a side salad. That's like on the go meals. On the go meals, man. So that's what he's dealing with. Home cooked meal, refrigerator stock. You can think clearly, because the other time you can't really think clearly when you ain't got no food in the refrigerator. You can't. Things just seem to be a lot harder to get done. Now you don't want to take the trash out. Now you don't want to clean up in the house. When you fed right and the refrigerator's full, things just seem to go better. Look, I ain't got my Yeezys that I've been waiting on for about 4 or 5 months. Guess when? Right after I stocked the refrigerator. When the refrigerator was bare, all I could think about how was them Yeezys taking so long to get here. But as soon as I filled up that refrigerator, got a knock on my door. Them Yeezys arrived 4 months late. The Chicago people always shipping. It take about 6-7 months after you ordered it. They said 7 days turned to 7 months. Maybe the time works differently, with the lake effect over there in Chicago or something. But my goodness, what's up with your boy Kanye? Why he not, why the shipping so late? It's almost boot season, and I'm getting my slides today. Can you go, trick or treating and some slides? I don't think so. Yeah, y'all got to get y'all shipping together in Chicago, man. I'm telling you.
Lucky Lefty podcast. Excuse me as I text with the recruit. Great. By the way, the recruiting weekend, this is going to sound very strange. The recruiting weekend could not have gone any better with inclement weather. It could not have gone any better with inclement weather. And what I mean by that, I have talked to, because I think they had a total of, let me look at the list. They had a total of 58, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 58 visitors over the weekend. And the crazy thing about it, I've talked to at least 25 to 30 kids. At least 25 to 30. And 75% of them have talked about how dope of an environment it was and how detailed. I heard this from multiple recruits, and this is just weird, but I guess the recruiting landscape has changed so that young men actually compare notes. They literally said, they're so detailed. They're so detailed, man. Everything was so detailed. And I don't know, but I'm sure they had to adjust things. No player walk. Other things are probably canceled or switched around because of the inclement weather that were on the schedule. But kudos to the Notre Dame coaches and staff and support staff on how they were able to swiftly transition, make adjustments on the fly, and then do what they needed to do. And with everything that they did, I'm hearing rave reviews about young men pretty much in inclement weather with the big things like the player walk being canceled And kudos once again, because they're all talking about the fans, how diehard the fan base is, and how much energy they had, and how the stadium was rocking, and they got louder when the rain was coming down. It's like, you make a difference. I tell people all the time, if you go to the game, understand that you make a difference, not only for the players on the field, but for the future guys in the stands. And I've applauded Notre Dame fans all year long for how the atmosphere has been incredible. And once again, you did your job as far as the young men that visited for the USC game are concerned. So that's the takeaways. That's our conversation about CJ Carr. Right. Speaking of CJ Carr, if you go over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com, you will still find CJ Carr not too far back of Jeremiah Love when it comes to Heisman voting and his odds to win the Heisman. Even after what some might declare, it's easy to declare that was probably his worst game of his young career. But even with that, he sits at plus 5,000. Plus 5,000. He was at, I think at his highest, he was at plus 2,800 to win the Heisman. He's now down to plus 5,000. Jeremiah Love, once again, is at plus 2,000 over at FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app or go to FanDuel.com. Ty Simpson is first at plus 320, followed by Fernando Mendoza at plus 340. Julian Sand at plus 400. That's team success.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Tate might be in there, though. He going crazy.
My boy is just doing what he does. Just doing what he does. That's what we do, Left. That's what we do.
IMG made, man. IMG made.
He's what? He's what made? Say that again. I think you made a mistake.
IMG made.
I think you made a mistake. You said he was what made?
IMG, right? Like IMG product.
You mean as in the school?
Yeah, development. All of that.
You're talking on the football field? Because you got to be careful when you say IMG made.
Oh, like okay.
Because he was Cardinal Tate when he got the IMG. Maybe you didn't realize that.
Oh, okay. It's like the different versions. Got it.
Yeah, because he's Chicago made.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go. Now you got it. Lucky Lefty podcast. And that's a perfect segue. Shout out, because it takes Chicago. Yeah, we petty like this. It takes Chicago to get to certain levels of petty. You see that right there, Christopher Burgess Jr.?
That's
you see what he has in his hand? The defensive line.
Yeah. He had to take
he has in his hand?
That's
yeah,
right.
He literally snatched the towel from a USC player walking off the field, told him, "You're not getting it back. Get on."
Yeah, go ahead, go on.
It's super petty. We petty. I'm sorry, Left. We're just petty like that. We're petty like that in the city. You know what I'm saying? We're just petty like that. I love this energy. Now, see, look. If USC had some kahunas, if they had kahunas, and they saw Jeremiah Love do what he did, if they see this picture with Chris Burgess, the players should walk in to the AD's office and say, keep this rivalry going.
That's right.
Keep this rivalry going. There's no way. We're not letting it end like this. Not like this. No. Notre Dame embarrassed them not only on the field, but after the game post. It was just an embarrassment. Did you see Notre Dame literally walked across the field? And they didn't wait for the USC to get to the middle of the field. They walked 3/4 of the way across the field and made them walk that narrow path back to that little narrow opening to their locker room. Like, get on. Get out of here. Man, but I love the energy. Both teams were hitting on Saturday night, bro. Both teams.
That's right.
Both teams were bringing it. They played hard. USC played hard. They just didn't have the horses.
Yeah, they just never know.
They played hard. They didn't have enough. Super chat from Mississippi. Thank you for the super chat. Mississippi, not sure if you guys have covered this before or in this show yet since I've just joined, but is Christian Gray playing through a lower body injury because it seems as if he isn't able to run as fast as he normally does? Mississippi, thank you for the super chat. I don't know. If I did know, I wouldn't confirm it, unfortunately, because that would put us in a bad position with the school. I saw a couple of people say that because of the way he covered the Makai Lemon over route.
You may have read a little bit too deep into it.
Yeah, because I think he was expecting Tay to come down, and he was playing. He got beat. I think he played it because he got beat previously playing trail technique, expecting the same thing, and Jacoby double moved him and beat him to the outside. That's how he got the big play over the top.
Yeah.
And
I
think he wanted that to happen the second time, and he was trailing. I don't think he didn't look, because I mean, on the interception, he didn't look like he was running slow.
No.
He looked like he was covering Jacoby Lane pretty good. Who, by the way, Left, I don't know if you were paying attention. His name was Jacoby Dean for like 3.5 quarters in that game. And Todd Blackledge just kept calling him Jacoby Dean. I'm like, bro, his name is Jacoby Lane, man. His name is Jacoby Lane. But I know for sure he has an upper body injury and still dealing with the shoulder. So no one is going into this bye needing more rest than Christian Gray.
Right.
No one.
I mean, he's the most. I mean, corners dream of having as much action and one-on-one opportunities as he's been able to amass. And you win some, you lose some. But I think he's, in terms of creating moments, it's probably one of the more memorable corners we've had in a long time. Just from day in and day out play, and I think that's going to provide great things for him as he moves on. This is, he has some highlights where you're like, that could be better, but then in that same game makes the plays that change the game. So I think that's valued, at a high level in the football world. Yeah.
So let's get to the GTBs before we switch over to hear from Marcus Freeman and the players. Chat, going into the bye, how are you feeling? How is everyone feeling about this team right now? Are you starting to get the playoff buzz? Are you starting to feel the playoff vibe? A lot of you guys said last week, I'll wait until after the USC game. That's going to show me a lot. Do you owe Chris Ash an apology? Has Chris Ash reintroduced himself to you as a Notre Dame fan? Let us know in the chat. Put it in a super chat, GTB, so we can put it up on the screen. I want to know what you fans think about this team going into the bye. Demont Mr. Food Lover says, Left, first off, thank you for the game commentary. Question: as a past quarterback, do you see the game from a quarterback's eyes while you're watching?
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it from the copy perspective on the TV, so it's a little different, but you always want to have that in the back of your mind as you're watching the game, with context. And it's fun, you kind of try to surmise and put yourself in the position of what they could have been thinking. It's more for me when I'm watching it, just the flow of the game. Like, you know, we need a timeout here, or we need a big play here, or, you know, where we should be going to here. But quarterback wise, I can't really see all the coverages and the route. So, you know, I can only assume with situation. I think situational football is just big when I watch it. So how we play in moments.
Yeah. Coleman Smith with the GTB. Sorry, guys, I'm way late, Sean. Great job on recruiting. Appreciate you, my guy. We got some more updates coming on the board over at IB. Some pretty good stuff this weekend, like I said. Notre Dame did a great job this weekend. When it comes to CJ, isn't the forced development a good thing? That's a good question, Left. Forced development.
When it comes to CJ, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just you're not gonna have your 400-yard games every week, so it is good for him to experience that in a win, as opposed to being experienced in a loss where they're, you know, highlighting even more what you could have done, should have done. But overall, if anything, this just provides, you know, some character to your resume, you know, to be able to have a game like this, and in the next 3 or 4 games you go crazy. It just helps build your confidence, get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things, Left, I'm gonna keep it a buck, is that his development is very honest. His development is very pure. I think they had a big picture coming to the season. I think Mike Denbrock had a game by game, or like a 3-game progress. I want CJ to be here after game 3. I want him to be here after game 6. I truly believe that's how Mike Denbrock looked at this thing, or how he was going to look at it regardless of whether or not it was CJ or Kenny. He was going to have his big picture thing, and then he was going to have his game to game, how we're going to attack the other team. So you had individual week to week goals, and then they had big picture goals for the progression of CJ Carr. And
Yeah, I
I
mean, this
think,
is no different than how we saw Mike Denbrock's relationship over time with Riley Leonard through the season. The first 5 games, you're trying to figure out what you got. No different than what he did the first 5 games with CJ, just figuring out who he is and what he's good and not good at. And as you see throughout the season, it'll get better and the synergy will be there. But, you know, Denbrock's used to having a guy for 2 years. He's still dealing with a first-time guy every year, but he's only, you know, growing in the offense. But he's got to get his quarterback caught up to the same amount of time. You know, that matters as well. So CJ being his first year is no different than a first-year transfer. You're going to have your struggles early. And then next year, I'm expecting CJ to really, you know, have a better synergy and a faster start with Denbrock, obviously.
super chat from my boy Justin Indy Sniper. We appreciate you, my guy. I think if this team puts it all together by the playoffs, they can beat anyone, but it all has to come together: run, pass, and defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, we're destined for another matchup with Ohio State at the end of the year, and it depends on how we just continue to keep progressing. If we need to be able to put a consistent 40 points on the board, I think just for team morale, because, you know, as you can see, Ohio State is not giving up more than 10. So we have some identity things we need to figure out, because even still in the USC game, you know, we can't have a passing performance like that being a national championship type team either. You know, so there needs to be some ironing out in that aspect. Because, yeah, we've had a team that went to the national championship getting 400 yards rushing in a game like this and just falling short through the pass in the games that matter.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've seen people report, like I said, we couldn't see it from the TV copy. You know, we saw people report that indeed Lincoln Riley did not shake Marcus Freeman's hand. We had people saying that he shook his hand real quick and got out of there. He's still a coward, in my opinion, in terms of trying to get out of this rivalry. He looked like one at his presser. He looked like one.
Just a glorified, overpaid coordinator, man. I don't
You know what?
Coach personality.
We might be realizing that he is a coordinator and not a head coach. Because I said it early in the show. Give me the example of the culture that he's built, because he walked into the culture that Bob Stoops had built over 20 years. So he didn't have to build a culture at Oklahoma. And then he ran from the SEC to the Pac-12. And then they pulled the rug up from under him because they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten, another physical conference. And you see what's happening. Like, it was literally, you heard people saying, oh, my God, Michigan was a landmark win for Lincoln Riley. What? That Michigan team was that lets you know how low the expectations are in that program, or possibly in the fan base out there right now. When people are echoing that was a landmark win against Michigan at home, you know what the landmark win was for Marcus Freeman, Love?
Which one?
Georgia in the playoffs. That's the landmark win.
Yeah, Penn State too, just because of who it is.
Yes, yes. Those were landmark wins for Marcus Freeman. Clemson at home, landmark win. They literally were saying Michigan was a landmark win for that program. That's crazy. That's what they were saying coming into this Notre Dame game. Michigan is a landmark win for us and for Lincoln Riley. Sheesh. Coleman Smith, I'm feeling good, but I don't want to talk playoffs. Went out. ND Milton fan says playoff vibe for sure. Only Navy makes me nervous moving forward. Kuya Joy. Oh, yo, dope guitar. I love acoustic guitars, man. Feeling good, but not cruise control because Navy looks good. So does Pitt. Josh Buffo, the motivational business banker. As good as we can be at this point, I don't want to talk playoffs one game at a time. Take care of business. No one wants to play us in the playoffs. My boy Joe 773 batters. No apology. Just do your job, Ash. Black Rhino 75. I'm good with this team. No, I will not offer an apology about Coach Ash. I said, Ice V, I'm excited the D-line proved me wrong and the team carried Carr when he played bad. They're going to be a problem in the playoff. That's how Notre Dame fans are feeling, bro.
I'm waiting for a quarterback to carry the team. That's what we still waiting.
Wow, I don't know if this is true. Erica Seifert, thank you for joining us. Erica says the parents were booing Chad pregame, calling him a fraud and a loser. No love lost.
Well, at least it's an intimidating factor, it sounds like, at Notre Dame. My goodness.
Man, is the vibe changing at Notre Dame? With the generation switch? Is that what's taking place? The parents are getting a little testier. That's wild. That's wild. If true, Erica, if true, man, when you have parents on the team feeling that way, that's yo. Two of the heroes were Joe Odding and Christian Gray. And Marcus Freeman, he talked about them, and we'll get to that. But first of all, he talked about the challenge of this game when he talked to reporters in the immediate aftermath.
Wasn't too big. We'll go back and grade it and see how we can get better and all those things. But You're not rushing for those type of yards unless you got O-linemen blocking. And, our defense, we challenged them to say, let's make them one-dimensional, right? Like, we can't let them run the ball at will and throw the ball at will. And that's what they've been doing. And for the most part, we stopped them in the run game. Obviously, they had some passes, and that was the challenge. Like, okay, let's make them one-dimensional. And they were probably okay with us making them one-dimensional, and they had some success. But our guys kept battling, and that's what it takes to have success.
Definitely
what?
love the battle. I think it was the battle.
No, go ahead, Left. You can continue.
Yeah, the battle is definitely what made it for me. Same as the Texas A&M, it just fell our side this time, and it was really impressive just to see us just stick with it and sometimes grinded out wins negate what the scoreboard reflects.
I literally had a recruit tell me the way this team and coaches responded when things didn't go their way made me want to put the uniform on.
Here we go.
Not the way the style of play, not this particular play, that particular play. Recruit literally said, watching them respond as players and coaches when things didn't go their way made me want to put the uniform on right then. So, Marcus Freeman, look, man, he said all week he wanted to make it a bloody battle. Maybe, which is crazy, because he was flat out honest all week. Like, we're going to make this a physical bloody battle. Like, this is war. I've been telling my kids all week, this is going to be war. This is what it is. And I guess Lincoln Riley and his staff just ignored it, because I would have heard that and been like, all right, tighten your chin straps, boys. They're about to run this rock. They're coming right at us. They are not giving this game to CJ Carr. This is not Boise State. This is not Arkansas. This is not the other teams they've been beating up on. They're trying to physically manhandle us.
Wow.
And I guess they didn't get the message. Yeah. So, I love what Coach said. Let me tell you something, man. Because you played under Coach Dan Brock. You played under Brian Kelly. I've yet to see a game other than maybe 23, maybe 23 Clemson. I've yet to see a game, a big game versus a big opponent that Notre Dame was not prepared for. Emotionally. Maybe you can, where they just flat out didn't come out ready to play in a big game. And you can't even say Ohio State, because they came out first drive and went right down the field.
Yeah. But I think it's a little bit of everything. I think we ran out of gas after that first drive versus Ohio State. Similar to how teams run out of gas like USC did after their first drive. It takes a lot if you're not expecting that your best plays coming out, it would take that much to get 7 points. So it hits you a little bit, but some of it is coaching. Like we talked about the national championship game, coaching where Jeremiah Love touches the ball 4 times is just inexcusable. Because like I saw the Paul Pierce interview talking to Shannon Sharp, where he said how Game 7s is about your players, right? Coaching is whatever. Talking about Doc Rivers getting criticism for Game 7s. And, I understand his point. He's like, you can only coach so much before moments players have to make plays, right? And against Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, 4th down, made a play. Keyshawn Junkins made a play, ran around in the end zone, so thinking back to when we were in there, it wasn't many players that stood out that made plays. It was just we were just getting down there, getting a drive here or there, like whatever. So same thing for us. That's why I talk so much about CJ, is that CJ can win a lot of games you're not going to remember. USC was a good opportunity in the rain for a good performance to stand out as, okay, this is his best performance since he's been a starter. I'm not saying he can't do it still, but we're not going to crown his Arkansas performance as his best game ever, because the moment was just like Arkansas was trash. The team, the fans was gone before the game was over. Fans don't even remember that game, Then last week, game was on Peacock. Nobody gonna remember that. So, I'm just saying prime time is important. So I think Marcus Freeman understands that, and I think he's ready for the moment. He's just got to bring the team right where he is, I think, mentally.
Lucky Lefty podcast. It's definitely one of those things where I don't think he's done with that. And seeing him fired up, I love it, because he uses the get fired up Marcus Freeman version at the right times. Like seeing him before Texas A&M, seeing him before the USC game. It's almost like he knows when to push that button, and he doesn't fake it. Like when you see it, it's for a purpose, and it really represents how he's feeling about that particular game, right? He said it in the immediate aftermath of the game. I'm exhausted. Like he was emotionally invested into this game. I'm sure, look, he won't say it, but the Chad angle meant something. The Lincoln Riley and backing out meant something. Just the rivalry itself meant something. So for him to admit, like, man, I'm exhausted, I'm drained. Yet Saturday night was different. It was different, and his players played like it, bro. His players played like it. He talked about two of his stars, two of the guys that make big plays, Joe Ott and Christian Gray. This is what Coach Freeman had to say about their performances.
You're going to get the same answer. You know what I'm going to say is delayed gratification, right? He was ready. He was ready for his opportunity because he worked every day in practice, and he didn't know when this opportunity was going to come, and he was ready for it. And it's, again, an example for everybody in life, everybody in our program. You can't wait for your opportunity. You have to work. You have to work, and you have to work. And maybe you get this opportunity. Maybe. Maybe you don't. There's guys that work their tail off in that locker room, and they don't get an opportunity to get on the field. But at some point, your hard work will be rewarded. And for Joe, it was today.
And then defensively, like you talked about the resilience, like feels like we're asking the same question we did after last year's USC game about Christian Gray, the way the way he bounced back. Like what did it mean to see him do what he did?
It was like deja vu. I mean, I kind of got on him the series that they scored right before he had that interception, and I reminded him, like, nobody feels bad, man. You got to do your job and play with the proper technique. Do I believe you can do it? Absolutely. But you got to go do it, and nobody has sympathy. And after that pick, he ran over. He said a couple words to me, but I like that, all right? I like that. And he knows I love him. I believe in him. He needed challenged a little bit. He's got to play with better technique. He has to. But keep battling, man. Keep battling. And you got to let the last play go. That's the game. That's the name of this game of football. You have to let the last play go and win this play. You have to win this play. And that's an example of what Christian did. And we got to continue to do that.
Look, man, it takes a lot. I'll say this. He gets beat on the play, which I think was a brilliant play call, because I think they saw the coverage, especially there was confusion. And this goes to, we'll get to it, Leonard Moore being used on Mekhi Lemon, how successful it was. I think in the 3 targets, he had 2 receptions for something like 28 yards. It was something crazy. Leonard Moore, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know, Leonard Moore, without question, as a true sophomore, is the best defensive back in all of college football. That is crazy. That is crazy. It's not even close. It's not even close. Do you understand, for a corner at his size and his length to go to the slot with space, it was almost like Makai Lemon saw him and kind of just got frustrated and just like, dang, they put him on me? Dude, I thought I was going to be seeing this true freshman all night.
Yeah.
It was almost like just literally seeing Leonard Moore in front of him, just, man. Because you saw Lincoln Riley talking to him on the sideline, like encouraging him. It was almost like seeing Leonard Moore on him. It was like, man, why y'all got to put him on me?
Right.
Duh. It's best on best. What are you talking about?
It's not an easy day for you today.
No, let's get it. No, oh no. You didn't use the Cali term. Left. You didn't call him a buster, did you?
I mean, it just sounded like it flowed. I don't know.
He said buster. Oh, you're bogus for that. But it really did look like he was just discouraged. But it did create opportunities elsewhere for USC, and they took advantage of those.
Right.
They took advantage of those. They got Christian Gray. They saw how they were covering and comboing with him and Tay, because they were putting the running back all the way out, which means that, you know, it was kind of like the linebacker had to go out on the running back man to man, let them know it was man to man, but they were running like a combo coverage between Tay and Christian, and Jacoby Lane hit the double move and got back to the outside, and coach got on Christian like, yo, you got to have better technique. You have to have better technique.
Yeah.
Stop it. That's on you. And Christian responded. And he said after the interception, Christian ran up to him and said some things. And Marcus Freeman said, I can't repeat what Christian said to me. He said, I kind of looked at him like, all right, now, boy, you know, I love you. I love you. Right. But he said, yo, we have that relationship because we trust each other. Yeah. He knows he can say that to me. And I can say and I can get on him. So kudos. And Joe Otting, let me tell you something, man. You did your thing, man.
Yeah.
You took care of business all night long. In that weather, not to have one bad snap left.
Pretty special.
Yes, for a first-time starter. Yes.
I mean, because look at the kicking. The kicking was absolutely atrocious.
Yes.
Is our guy hurt again? Is this guy hurt or?
Man. Is who hurt again?
Is our kicker hurt or is he just, I don't know.
At this point, I think they said he was going to be dealing with this hip thing all year. Marcus Freeman's like, we just have to do a better job of managing it and getting him through it. I don't know what's going on with his hip, but come on, bro. PATs? First it was the hole with Tyler Buckner. Now we're just missing them. Look, man, and shout out to James Rendell, who very quietly is one of the best kickers in all of college football. He was selected to raise top 8 for the Ray Guy Award.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's been nominated. He's 11th in the nation, net punting at 43.88. Honestly, USC's punter was pretty good Saturday night as well. They both had a great night kicking in that weather. Mississippi with another super chat. LOL went back and forth with SC fans swearing Moore didn't clamp him. What? Did they really say that? Claiming they doubled him when Moore was in coverage. Wasting my time, but I despise SC, so I kept trolling them. You know what, man? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I asked this. What we asked my boy Trevor Trowbridge, who does the betting show with Vince Dario. I asked him the question about how many teams would actually be favored, and this is his. He does this for a living. Like this is his man. He says Ohio State, Bama, Oregon, and maybe Indiana right now. He says Georgia, Texas A&M, Miami, and Ole Miss would be up in the air because he said he's just looking at it from the way Vegas would set the line. But he said, yeah, he's probably like 3 to 4 teams.
Wow.
So it's, telling you, man, this Notre Dame team, they're very respected. They're very respected. Joe Platt flat out said, like, dude, if you don't think they're one of the best top 10, one of the top 10 teams in the nation, I don't know what eyes you have.
Wow.
He's like, it's clear they're one of the top 10 teams in the nation. Let's get to some more Marcus Freeman. After he talked about Christian Gray and Joe Oddie, he talked about the struggles of his quarterback, CJ Carr.
Interesting to talk with CJ in our weekly meetings, just what he felt. I don't know. I mean, if he knew what was causing those incompletions, he would have corrected it. And so, I just mentioned, hey, man, just be you, right? Don't press. Don't make this thing different than the last 5 or 6. And because CJ is a competitor, he's an ultra competitor, and I don't want him to use it to be a negative thing against him. So, but he's resilient, man. He came back the second half and really did a good job of leading our offense down the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to look past things when you win. So he'll get better. He's got a good running game. Just keep saying that all year.
Well, Left is going to break down some film.
Oh, yeah.
On CJ. He's going to break down some film. So come show up tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow around the same time. I teach Bible class tomorrow, Left. So
that's right.
Yeah, we'll probably start around 4 o'clock. We'll probably start around 4 o'clock tomorrow, Central Time. And Left's going to break down some film on CJ, some good, some bad, what needs to be fixed, and what to expect moving forward. Because like you said, Left, teams now have 7 games worth of film. 7 games worth of film on different defenses that have worked, what gives him trouble, what they can go to situationally. So it's going to be interesting to see how he responds. I think he's going to respond well. But I'm very excited to see how he's going to respond coming out of this bye week. Absolutely. Last but not least, Marcus Freeman talked about the best. It's not even close. It's not even, I can't even believe people were talking about that school up there in State College. I can't.
Yeah, how is it gaining traction?
I don't know. It's not even close. He's the best running back. He's the future Doak Walker Award winner, possible Heisman candidate, and the best running back room in the nation. Marcus Freeman talked about his guys.
Very common in college football. It's not very common in life to see 2 guys that are so talented that deserve the ball in their hand every snap, but choose to put the team in front of themselves and then make the most of their opportunities, right? They're not pouting. They're each other's biggest supporter. I said this couple, but that's what you want your team to be a reflection of great players that make great plays when they have the ball in their hands, but continue to put team before. That's hard to do. That might be one of the hardest things we ask our players to do.
Man, I love seeing Jeremiah Love laughing as his boy was getting ready to score on that 101-yard kickoff return.
Yeah.
Like they genuinely pull for each other. And Jeremiah Love constantly talks about how respectful he is of how great a technician Jadarian Price is. He constantly talks about his footwork. Like, bro, that dude Jadarian Price, I pull from him. I watch him because he is a technician, man. And he's a future Chicago Bear. That's why I love him. He's a future Chicago Bear.
You got to call it out?
Yeah, because we don't have a top 10 pick to get Jeremiah. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Jadarian.
You have a what?
We don't have a top 10 pick. Not the Bears? No, we're not going to be in the top 10.
So where are you guys landing at the end of the season?
We're going to be outside the top 10. I think we have the same record as the Jaguars. I mean, my fault. I apologize. The Jaguars.
First of all, we're coming.
I apologize.
We'll be fine. I'm not worried about us. I'm worried about you guys because where are you
Danny
guys?
Dimes.
Where are you
Danny
guys
Dimes.
in the division?
Danny Dimes is a better quarterback than your quarterback.
That's okay. We're still 11-win team. Where are you guys at?
11-win team. What, over the last 3 years?
Oh no. We'll be second in the division, 11-win team in the playoffs. What?
You're compiling all the wins you guys have had over the last 3 years. You keep saying 11 team.
We got
11 team win. Where?
7. We got 8, 9 more games. We got 9 more games. Oh yeah, we're winning 7 of those. Easy.
Oh, see, Justin Sniper said Jadarian will go 3rd or 4th round. That's even better. That's great value for the Bears. We'll take it. We'll take it. Well, if he sneaks into the 2nd, we're taking him in the 2nd. I've already made the phone calls. Like, hey, DeAndre Swift, that's nice. Hey, go make the move.
Right, get Ryan Poles on the phone, man.
No, I went over his head.
Oh yeah,
go over his head.
He ain't the higher ups. The higher
right here. Ryan Poles isn't running anything. He doesn't. No. Ben Johnson is the real dude up there now, as far as roster construction. In case people didn't know, I'm just saying, bro. Let's get out of here as we hear. Like I said, tomorrow be here. Left is going to break down some great film on CJ Carr. And now Jalen Sneed. This is what he had to say about the game, the rivalry, and everything, and what it means to play in a game like this.
And it means the most to me just to go in that game with those group of guys and be able to come out on top is always one of the greatest feelings in the world. And I just can't, it's a big rivalry game, so it just means a little bit more to us. So it's just great to come out on top.
And I know they had a couple of running backs out in this game, but it hadn't really mattered who's run the ball for them this year. They've been productive. Mm-hmm. Not tonight. What was the key to that?
The key was just getting our defensive line and our linebackers to play well and then getting our safeties to fill when they needed to. And our D-line did a great job keeping O-line off of us, and we were able to make tackles. So just a big shout-out to the D-line. And like how they're playing right now, they're on fire. So just a big shout-out to them.
Unsung heroes.
The
Notre Dame defensive line, bro. Left, name another team, because they're probably out there. You're probably going to say Ohio State, Georgia. You might have to stop right there. But name another team that could lose their starting center, captain, and their starting defensive tackle, best run stuffer, in the same week going into a big-time matchup against a ranked opponent. And offensively, run the ball for 306 yards on 44 carries at 7 yards a clip, and defensively hold a rushing attack that had been averaging upwards of 220 yards to 29 carries for 68 yards at 2.3 yards a clip. Name me a team that could do that. Lose the starting center and their starting D tackle, who is the best at stopping the run, and can do that. Unsung heroes. We talked about how this defensive line, this was the trend. They were playing lesser opponents left, but the trend was everybody on the defensive line is making plays when they get the opportunity. Cole Mullins, Elijah Hughes, Bubakar, man.
Talent. Good old
Bryce
talent.
Young. We talked about Jordan Botello, how well he's been playing. Josh Burnham.
Tay Johnson.
Armel Mookum. Everybody that came in, everybody that played Saturday night made a play. They got a pressure. They got a tackle. They set the edge. They made the runner bounce it to the outside. Everybody did something. And that trend started 2 games ago. We saw it. We mentioned it. We brought it up. Elijah Hughes played his tail off against his former teammates. Played his tail off. That is certain things that we said. They turned on the turnover faucet. We said, uh-oh, they got this turnover thing going. It has continued. People said, well, let's see it against USC. You saw it. They shut down the run. Oh, that was Hollywood Smothers in North Carolina State. Okay, here comes an offensive line that's running for 200 yards and led a freshman running back last week against Michigan to 182. What did they do against Notre Dame's defensive front? 2.3 yards per carry. Do you need to see it? Who's the next team you want to see it against? Navy?
Yeah.
You want to see the D-line against Navy next? At some point, man, we shared the things that were trending that more than likely weren't just something that was going to disappear against better competition. They are the unsung heroes, in my opinion. This defensive line has really stepped up. Really stepped up. And I don't think it has anything to do with the opponent. I think they have really just found their footing. And I think we're going to continue to see them, especially after they're rested and they get healthy. I think you're going to see them continue to be a dominant group, especially in the run game. Left, we are talking about Notre Dame stopping the run, Left. I'm going to say that again. We are talking about the Notre Dame defense stopping the run, bro. Stopping the run. This is crazy. After Saturday, they now sit 17th in the nation. Left. Notre Dame could end the season giving up less than 100 yards on the ground.
Wow.
They sit at 17th in the nation at 100.3 yards per game given up on the ground. Notre Dame, looking at the schedule, Notre Dame could end the season giving up less than 100 yards on the ground. When was the last time that happened?
I don't know, man. We've been talking about that for a minute.
Woo, man. Man. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Now we have to hear from the star of the night. 228 yards. Jeremiah Love.
I mean, like, I love being physical. Going out there and, trying to run somebody over. And, making it bloody. We have bloody Tuesdays every week, so it's really not nothing to us. We try to, bring the other team into our environment and, make them, play to us. But yeah, love making it bloody, love being physical, and we pride ourselves on being strong and, dominating our opponents.
Front row on the left, Jack Sobel.
Jeremiah, I mean, given some of the holes you had up the middle tonight, like how did you feel like Otting played in his first start?
He did great. One man goes down, next man goes up, and he was ready for his opportunity. That's how we train. No matter who goes down, no matter who's up, our coaches prepare us in a way that we're going to go out there and we're going to execute. And Otting, first start, and he had his chance, and he executed every single play. He did his job. That will lead to the performance that we had as an offense, protecting our quarterback and, opening up lanes for running backs.
Yep.
Very focused and locked in. Love to hear that from a guy like Jeremiah Love, who, he's I think he's got bigger things that he wants to accomplish, and I'm excited to see it.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Go over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. Plus 2,000 Jeremiah Love is to win the Heisman at Notre Dame. You can get them at minus 280, minus 180, I think, over at FanDuel to make it to the CFB playoffs. That's for them to make it. They are at, sorry about that. They are at minus 280. I said 180, minus 280 to make the CFB playoff, currently over at FanDuel.com. We are presented by FanDuel. So download the FanDuel app, courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Tap in on the audio side. Greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. Leave your comments, questions. We respond to all. X, Instagram, TikTok at Lucky Lefty Pod. Well, Left, great show. Chat.
That's right.
You guys are fantastic as always. Enjoy some Monday Night Football. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. As always, love each other. We can't wait to see you guys back here tomorrow, where we'll hear more from Marcus Freeman. He doesn't have a presser this week. Didn't have a presser today. No opponent. So we would tap into where things stand, look at some film, what they can change as far as short yardage, and move forward from that for BC starting next week. For Left SD2 Mics, have a great evening, but most of all, make sure you continue to spin it
different.